difficult to curb immigration. She did go on to say it might be a price worth paying. But has she done more harm than good, bearing in mind immigration is such a central part for a lot of people in this debate?
Well, migration goes both ways, doesn't it? And of course, the majority of migration into the UK at the moment is still from outside the European Union. And there are forms of migration that we desperately need. Whether that's, nurses from Italy or Spain, countries that have deliberately trained too many nurses and we need nurses in my local hospital, or you're talking about students, international students, that you want to come from every part of the world to come to study in the UK so that they strengthen their relationship with the UK.
You could do that, of course, from outside the EU. You could still have those people coming into the country.
Yes, you could, but what you couldn't have is the 2 million British people who go to other countries in the European Union. I mean, you've got to bear in mind that the country whose nationals most use the freedom of movement are the British, because we have 2 million living elsewhere in the European Union. And of course that's right, because younger generations in particular, I think, really value that freedom to go and study, travel, work, older generations to retire in other countries in the European Union without let or hindrance.
It is true, isn't it, Nadhim Zahawi, to say that leaving the EU wouldn't automatically mean a significant reduction in immigration?
Well, of course, what it will mean is we stop the free movement. I think the question of price worth paying, we've just introduced the national living wage at £7.20 an hour. It's going to rise to over £9 an hour by 2020. The question we all have to answer, including Chris to his own constituents, those on national living wage, women working part-time, men on national living wage, all of those.
Is it not a good thing?
Well, no, it's a very good thing, except the freedom of movement puts huge pressure on those people. So is there a price worth paying for them? 3 million people, according to the government's own official figures, will come into this country by 2030 if we get countries like Turkey joining, Albania. That's even bigger. So you've got to remember, if you're a progressive politician, you worry about people on low wages, the freedom of movement absolutely hurts them the most. That is the question here. And Chris has to answer that to his constituents.
It's a massive pull factor, isn't it?
Well, I'm not... Actually, I think most migration is driven by push factors rather than by pull factors. That's to say, whether your country is a safe place, whether there's work and employment, all the rest of it.
What happened when you had the Poles come in under your government, Chris? So you have to be honest with your constituents.
Nadhim, I'll look after my constituents if that's OK with you. You look after yours. But the point I was going to make, the point that Nadhim has to answer, of course, is he says, as do several other Brexiteers, that we would, if we leave the European Union, we'll end free movement of labour. But that's completely and utterly untrue. There isn't a single trade deal that countries have done, that the EU has done with other countries, that doesn't also mean that you have to adopt free movement of labour.
I'm going to put that to him, but first of all, answer Nadhim's question. Do you think, though, that increase in the national living wage will be a massive pull factor for people to come here?
Look, the reason people come here is because...
Hang on, let him answer.
I'm just teasing you.
Yeah, we'll behave. The reason people come here is because we speak the English language, because we are a safe country, because we have the rule of law, and because there are work.
And they can earn decent money.
Now, one of the things that I think is profoundly unfair for most British workers is that those workers from Eastern Europe who are only intending to be here for 4, 5, 6 years are happy to live 10 men to a 3-bedroom house. Now, I think we need to clamp down on that element, which undercuts local workers.
Can I put one question to you? And that was Chris's point about naming a country that has the status at the moment of a very good trade deal with no tariffs with the European Union and doesn't sign up to the freedom of movement.
Yes, you can.
Who?
Let me talk you through. Before I became a member of Parliament, I ran YouGov. Right? We went to Germany, bought businesses across the whole Scandinavia. There is no single market in services, but we did really well. Elon Musk has just sold $10 billion worth of cars in 3 days.
I just want a country now that has that status.
My point being is that you can actually trade freely across Europe. We're the 5th largest economy in the world. We buy more cars. BMW and Mercedes and AEG will want Chancellor Merkel to sign a trade deal with us. So my point is we're a massive economy. Let's not talk ourselves down.
What I'm asking is for a country that has this amazing deal and status and doesn't have freedom of movement. I mean, there isn't one, is there?
No, but we can have a trade deal with Europe. Right. That's my whole point.
So we would have to be the first.
Like we have a special relationship with other countries, we can have a trade deal.
If there isn't a country that has thus far ever been able to negotiate such a trade.
We're the 5th largest economy in the world. We're not Switzerland or Norway. We are the 5th largest economy.
But you want us to be Switzerland or Norway.
No,
That's
I don't.
the problem.
No, I don't. What I'm saying to you is we buy much more goods from Europe than we sell them. We give them more services, yes, but there's no single market in services. So let's be strong The new world's about innovation, not about population.
I'm going to have to
It's a
stop you there because
networked
we'll
world.
run out of the...
You didn't frankly have the balls to put country before party.